That seems out of the mix. The champs. Kind of strange. Here's the Chiefs' offense this season. Still winning, but not lighting up the scoreboard per se. Had that long completion to Worthy, but still tied for 15th on long bombs. So are you surprised the Chiefs aren't in the mix?
Well, so I think that part of the reason the Chiefs aren't in the mix is the Raiders doing.
Right.
I think the Raiders not wanting to trade within the division. I also think Kansas City does not want to do anything drastic until they find out about Rasheed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But if the Rasheed prognosis is 6 to 8 weeks, I don't think they'll trade for anyone.
It's been a long time not to get news on this.
I told you yesterday, they're not going to know till Monday.
What's going on?
That could be good.
It could be good. It might not be good for the record, but on Monday they're going to be able to find out.
Okay.
So so it is a long time, and it is incredibly odd. Which is why there is optimism. It's not a fully torn ACL because you can tell that instantly, but it could be partially torn and other damage that's just as bad, whatever it is. So I think the Chiefs are not in as much of a rush as everyone else thinks maybe they should be. And I think the Raiders don't want to trade with Kansas City. So I think that is what is happening right now, why the most obvious team that's a contender with a need, with a great quarterback, a wide receiver that's aging would probably be a rental, but you're going for a three-peat. That's why that hasn't happened.
No, I agree with all of that. And then we'll throw in yesterday what we discussed. If I'm the Chiefs, my number one target at receiver is Tyreek Hill. If I can get him, I'd rather have him than Davante. Obviously, he has the chemistry with Mahomes. He's faster, all that stuff. He just opens everything up. But outside of that, Nick, and maybe, like you said, once they find out about Rasheed, I think they should go for him. I think they should go for Davante because, as you said, they're trying to do something that's never been done. And so go ahead and make your team as great as it can be. I used to talk about this a lot last year. They ended up winning the Super Bowl. But you've got a Ferrari at quarterback. Go ahead and get him some Ferraris on the outside. And he, of course, we talked about Worthy needing to step up, with Rasheed out. Again, Davante opens things up for Worthy. They have to worry about Davante Adams. I think that's going to make Worthy even more dangerous.
The Raiders just trade. You should not be putting a restrictor on any teams that you're looking around at, other than the CFL or the USFL. The Chiefs gave it we're rivals with the Chiefs. Are you though?
They think they are.
No,
give me a break.
They think they are.
Hold on. Here's the thing, and they are historic rivals with the Chiefs. Even though the Broncos are probably the Chiefs' biggest rival,
we're historic rivals with England.
Okay, no, I get that, but to me, and I made this point yesterday, I'll make it again. That is oddly, if you are operating intelligently rather than emotionally, you should want to trade with your rival, because as long as you acknowledge you're on different timelines, as long as you acknage that.
Do they? That's the question.
And I get
we do, but the Raiders don't seem to.
I think they know that. And when I say you're on different timelines, the point is you can be like, well, what's the Chiefs' timeline for Mahomes' whole career? That's not. It's Davante's timeline versus your timeline to contend. If your feeling is, well, Davante Adams, it's probably just a rental anyway. We are not competing this year, so we're going to be getting a draft pick. Don't we want to steal resources from Kansas City? It actually logically should be the Chiefs, Chargers, or Broncos should be the teams they most want to trade with. But that's not how teams work.
You're not competing.
The other thing that I do think Kansas City might be doing if they're not involved here is not – I bet Kansas City's not unhappy that this is happening right now because it sets a ceiling for the wide receiver trade market.
No, that's interesting.
And so I know the Raiders floated they want a second. If they floated they want a second, that means they're worried they're only going to get a third. And if Davante goes for a third condition, that could be a second, whatever it is, then if Amari Cooper or DeAndre Hopkins or those other receivers that could come available that are not Davante Adams, then it's like, okay, well, that's a fourth-round pick now. So, you know what I mean? This could benefit the Chiefs' ability to get a receiver in that it sets the market in a place that makes it easier for them. The Chiefs have that extra pick from trading L'Jarius Sneed. Those things are all at play here eventually, potentially.
Okay. Coming up next, Stephon, revenge game. Bills Texans. That's next on FS1, the Fox Sports.
When I said every team would be better with Davante, there's obviously teams that would be most helped, degrees of it. The Cowboys are high on the list of teams that he would help the most because of the point Brew made, which is their only through line to being a good and I think very good is still on the board, I know you don't, is an elite passing attack. The running game's going to be mediocre at best, and the defense, it looks like, even at full strength, was not going to be as good as it was in years past. It was going to have to be through Dak's right arm, and adding another star player alongside CD would be super helpful.
And this would improve your running game to some degree because they have to worry so much about that.
Correct. And can I say one other thing about the Cowboys and the money piece of it? So Davante makes essentially $1 million a game this year. So if you trade for him, you have to have on your cap available however many games. You'll have $13 million if you trade for him today, or $12 million. But that can change because the Raiders, if they want to, can switch all of that to bonus. They pay it, and you get him for the league minimum. I think they would do that if you give a better pick.
Yeah.
So for a team, like if Jerry really feels cash strapped, I know they floated they're going to get a second. I don't think they're going to get that. I think they're going to get a third and something. But I think maybe that could be a second if all of a sudden he's a cheap player instead of an expensive player. And so I think that is negotiable. I don't think money should be the reason someone doesn't get Davante Adams if you're willing to pay the draft pick premium.
The Jets and the Saints.
This guy loves Derek Carr, man.
Not surprisingly, Davante, according to Schefter, would like to play with a QB that he knows. Sauce Gardner hopped onto social media and retweeted a Bleacher Report article about the trade, and then this, so you can decipher that. If it's
it's an angel? Is that an angel? Is that what that is?
Something, maybe so. A cherub, but it's saying Exactly.
I got that part.
Yeah, but that's
I would have used the emoji, but sure. And also of note, I want to resurface this off-season video that was supposedly about golf. Take a listen.
I love Davante. Can't wait to play with him again.
Okay, that's it. That was it.
That's it.
We put it out there, and then remember he was asked about it. He's like, well, I was talking about golf.
He was like, that guy was bothering me. I needed to get him away.
And it was a nice reporter in any event.
Yeah.
Those are all the tea leaves. How much would Davante help the Jets?
Let me first say this. It is fair for people to wonder, does Davante really want to win a Super Bowl? How high is that on his list when the Saints and the Jets are your top two teams?
You have the Jets going pretty far.
I got them winning the division, but you know my stance on Rodgers.
Yeah.
And that will not change with Davante. Now here, I'll share all that. Yes, they should go all in for him. Yes, I do think he would help them and make them better. You see with Allen Lazard, he's their leading receiver in terms of yards, like over 200. Just that alone shows you how important it is for a receiver to have a rapport with Rodgers and for Rodgers to be comfortable with the guy, because clearly he and Garrett Wilson haven't gotten in sync. I think Davante obviously has that rapport with Rodgers. He also could work with Wilson and kind of help him maybe get more, play better with Aaron. But Davante would obviously become the number one guy. You got Wilson as the number two and Mike Williams at three. Your receiving core would be great. So I do think it makes them better. I do think, I think I got them winning the division anyway. I think it would solidify them in terms of doing that. They make the playoffs, but I do not think it would make them a Super Bowl contender. But I still think they should go all in because this is your only hope, and they think they can be a contender. So go for it. I just don't think you get out of the AFC with it.
Okay, let me say this on the front end. Every team in the league be better with Davante Adams. Right? There's not a team that it's like, oh, adding Davante Adams. I was going through it. I'm like, is there a single team that would be like, no, don't want him? Go ahead, bro.
I would, and you asked why.
I mean, the Raiders evidently
I didn't have Baltimore on there, and I just think if Davante Adams went to Baltimore, they would go into an identity crisis.
Okay,
again, right? It wouldn't be just Derek running, Lamar running. We throw it after that.
So there
would
might
know
be
who they
some
were again.
unintended consequences.
don't-
But if
not
it was,
Fitz.
hey, Davante Adams, we're going to keep doing exactly what we're doing, but instead of having Rashad Bateman here, it's going to be Davante Adams, they would be better. Like so